You're listening to the Book Your Dream Clients podcast, episode 45. Today's episode is with my new friend, Jessica, and we are chatting all about online courses. I know that a lot of you have coaching businesses, and I want to tell you that you don't have to just rely on one-on-one clients all the time. The best way to scale your business is through creating an online course, a group program that you can work with many people instead of just one. You've heard me speak about this many times before, so now let's get into it with Jessica, who has a background as a teacher and who's going to show us the really important things that it takes to build an effective online group course.
You're listening to the Book Your Dream Clients podcast, where we believe business can be simple and you can use your intuition to run towards your goal. Self-made business and success coach Lindsay Maloney helps you start and scale your dream coaching business. With her step-by-step intuitive and creative guidance, you'll leave ready to put her tips into action, push your business forward, and work with your dream clients. Lindsay is here to help you get unstuck and structure your brilliance into a coaching business that's sustainable and financially exhilarating. Here's your host, Lindsay Maloney.
Before we get started with this episode, I want to talk to you about my program, Standout Coaching Academy, or SOCA as everyone calls it. It's a 90-day program that's going to help you book your dream clients. And this is perfect for you if you are a coach who is ready to create, launch, or scale your coaching business. If you want to fill your calendar up with dream clients who inspire you, and you want to make an impact in the world with work that you feel called to do, I want you to enroll in SOCA. SOCA is an extremely powerful program that will take your coaching business to the next level. And I have 3 ways that you can join me right now, be a part of the 90-day program, join other like-minded women, network with them, learn the best ways that you can build your coaching business just the way that I've created and scaled mine, so you can stop having those sleepless nights with all the information overload and stop doing everything by yourself. So many coaches are struggling to get their businesses started, and I want that to stop right now. So I'm inviting you to go to standoutcoachingacademy.com, check it out, and enroll. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on to the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I'm so excited to visit with you.
So excited to be here. Thank you, Lindsay.
You're welcome. You have a really unique business. Why don't you tell us about yourself and your business that you have, because you are unlike anyone I've ever interviewed before.
Sure. I am part of a family-owned business. It is a mother-daughter business, and that usually raises a lot of eyebrows and reactions, ranging from like, oh my gosh, you work with your mom, to, oh, I would love to work with my mom. And, honestly, it really is kind of the best situation I could find myself in. And so we do business advising, and my mom focuses on being a business strategist and kind of rolling up her sleeves and getting in the trenches with business owners. And what I bring to the business, Lindsay, is it's been this really cool growth for me. I started out as a high school English teacher, and I taught freshmen and juniors and literature and how to write. And when I left after 6 years of teaching, I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with myself? I just saw myself as a teacher, and I started seeing that so many entrepreneurs and small business owners wanted to communicate with other, their clients and customers, and teaching was such a huge part of that, Lindsay. And I thought, well, you know what? I could show other entrepreneurs how to teach and how to communicate better. And so that's really what I've brought to our business is, in addition to being business advisors, I help them teach.
That's really important, because right now everyone wants to put out an online course or a group program, and it's different than working one-on-one with people. It's completely different. And yes. I think, we should all have that form of income in our business, as, the people that are listening to this either want a group program or have one. But you have to be able to teach effectively. And that's something that sounds like a lot of work probably to people, because they're like, I know how to get them to this goal. I know what I want to teach, but how do I teach it so it's effective so people can get results? And
exactly,
you don't see a lot of actual teachers, somebody who comes from the education system, step in and say, okay, I can show you guys how to do this. And I mean, you're the first person that I've heard of doing this, so this is really unique. So do you see online like people who are coming up and with authoritative figures teaching things, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, if they just did this one thing, this would come off so much better? Is there some red flags that you see out there that kind of make you cringe a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I think the biggest thing is I see people doing what's called info dumping, and a lot of people throw tons of information in their programs and courses at their clients. So it's sort of like taking an encyclopedia and handing it over to your client and saying, here's all this information. I'm going to teach everything to you, and you're going to be, better off than you were before. And when I see that, I think teachers, people who put online courses and programs together, Lindsay, see I'm being valuable if I can give tons of information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. It's the same ethic as saying, if I work harder, I'll make more money.
Yeah.
It's always the opposite.
It is. And so one of the first things I ask, a newer client or someone that I'm talking to is, let's not think of this as information dumping. Let's think of this as you're leading people towards an outcome. So rather than being information based, how can you make this action based? Because really people just want solutions to their problems. So however long your online course it lasts, whatever duration it is, it could be, a couple days, it could be a couple weeks, it could be, 2 months. What is a reasonable outcome for people to achieve by the end?
That might be a tough thing for people to comprehend because, they're going off of their journey, which might have taken years.
Yes.
And that's fine. So they're like, I don't even know how to face how long. I'm not going to sell a program. This is going to take you 3 years, of course.
Right.
But they want to make sure that they're getting results. So there's kind of some magical time duration numbers that people throw out. Like I have a 90-day program.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty popular. And I've even taken surveys like, would a 90-day program seem better to you than this length? And that one always wins. Do you, as a teacher, how does that feel for you when you see the 90 days out there?
90 days is usually a really great number, Lindsay, for several reasons. One, 90 days doesn't feel like it takes forever, right? Because we kind of live in a culture where people want to see results sooner rather than later. So you don't want to say this is going to take you 6 months to a year, because that kind of leaves our clients feeling a little defeated from the beginning, right?
Right.
So, and then, you have to, as an instructor, give your clients time to work with the information. You can't necessarily expect people to do these quick things, just in a span of a couple of days. It takes time to implement, and it takes time to see some changes. So that's why I think, anything, 90 days, even I guess maybe the shorter end of it could be, 8 weeks. But I really don't think anything smaller than that or shorter than that is really going to get your clients long-term results or changes.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you said create your coaching business in 30 days, well, that sounds pretty amazing on the surface. But then once you get in and let's say you're just starting, you have a domain and that's it, there's no way you can get all of the things going in 30 days unless you decided not to sleep for 30 days. But that's not realistic.
It just isn't. And I think you have to think about, you mentioned something really, really great earlier, Lindsay, where you said, you have to think back to where you were at the beginning of the journey. So thinking of that, think of where your client is at that moment when you're first engaging with them and thinking what is going on in their life? What are their challenges? What are they going through? What does their schedule probably look like? 30 days just isn't realistic. So the 90 days, the 3 months is really where you can, get them some traction realistically.
I agree. 90 days, it seems like, okay, I can digest that easily. I know not everything's going to be thrown over to me. So when a client of yours has all this information that they want to give to students, and I think a lot of them right away, they just want to give everything to them right off the bat. And I usually recommend not to do that. What is what's your recommendation?
Oh, definitely. A total agreement, Lindsay. You don't want to give everything away for multiple reasons. One, people really don't need tons and tons of information. They need focus from you. So that when you're clear on a very specific outcome that you want to lead them to, all the information you need to give them is going to lead them to that outcome. So that should help you kind of decide, like, do I really need to give them this, or do I really need to teach them this? And then even from there, you can save information for later engagements with them, right? So it could be, the next step with you is high-level consulting or coaching, and then you can teach them more in-depth content.
Mm-hmm.
So save the content, because your client doesn't feel any more value from being like pummeled with information, and you don't want to give everything away and feel like, well, wow, what the heck? Like, now they have everything from me.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I get a lot of clients who used to be students because that was their step up,
Yep.
Sometimes you get clients just from, Google, they stumble upon your site and they never look back, but a lot of them come in from, Stand Up Coaching Academy or whatever, because they
Mm-hmm.
can see that you have good material, you know what you're doing, and then they work their way up. So yeah, I think it's, another big question I can see a lot in my world is, how do I know if I'm giving too much information? If I have, a one-on-one that I want to upsell when they're done with the program,
Mm-hmm.
where do I draw the line with that?
I always say, like, for me, Lindsay, the North Star is always like, if you're working with a client for, say, 90 days, like what is the outcome? I always come back to that. It's sort of like a broken record, because if that is the focus point, if your client is really clear on that's what they're working towards, then you have to use some discipline, right? And I always had to do this in my own classroom. Like, there were activities and things that I loved doing, but if that really didn't add to their skill level or their ability to get to that outcome, then I had to say no, because it was just going to overwhelm them, and it was going to make me feel like I was just like overloading.
Yeah, and the main reason people take a course and they invest, $1,000 in a program is because they're tired of being overwhelmed. They're tired of, being buried in all of this content that they've piled on top of themselves. So they're there for clarity and guidance. So if you just give them 3 months worth of material because you don't know how to drip it out or whatever it is, I think that is a huge mistake and just cause for disaster. I've had students who say, like, oh, I wish I could just have everything all at one time. And those are the students that are like the serial freebie downloaders and
Exactly.
And I just laugh because I say it's not going to work out for you if I give you everything, because you can't do everything all at once anyway.
No, and I think that's the big thing is you think you're being helpful. You come at the table as an instructor, you think like, wow, if I give them all of this, then I'm just going to be even more helpful. But really, you're putting the client in a sense of paralysis. Like, where do I start? What do I do with this? Like, it kind of just ends up either sitting on, the online course not being accessed, or they download it and really don't access it because they're just too busy, or they're overwhelmed, or they're not sure what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so another thing that we could chat about is how people like to take in content, and it's not how you want to take in content; it's how you think your students will best digest it. Like, I think of medicine, and all my kids are different. One kid will need this with their medicine, and this one will just take it, and this one will need this. So everyone's different, but you can't cater the deliverability to everybody. So you have to think of your students. What would in the biggest, what's the biggest percentage rate that they'll all accomplish this? And for me, I just do a lot of PDF worksheets and workbooks because I know my students love that.
Yep.
And I'm not a video person. I don't have time to watch a bunch of videos. If I bought a course and there's a bunch of videos, I'm probably not going to do it. I don't have time. So you have to think about your audience. Is that something that you have to kind of retrain your clients? Like, no, I don't know if your students are going to want to do this method. What about doing a different way? How can you help students figure that out when they're just starting?
I love that. I love how you encourage people to always like think of the client. And I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest shift that I help my clients with initially as well, is it's really not about you, it's about them. And so I'm in agreement, Lindsay, with the PDFs and the worksheets. I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing now is people just want, like, tell me exactly what I need to do, Lindsay, and tell me how I need to get there. And so they're less interested, I think, generally with the longer, 60-minute videos, and more interested in how can I start to take some action and see some results. And so that's why I like workbooks or step-by-step guides and any type of PDF that someone could just download and fill out with a little, and obviously there's some structure to those PDFs and forms, right? They're not really generic. They're really broken down and really purposeful. And I love helping my clients model. Like, your clients want to see what they need to do and mimic and kind of copy what you're doing. So I think that's probably the best way to give your students what they need, is to model, use stories, and give them those PDFs and workbooks.
Definitely. And it goes back to thinking about their lifestyle. Do you have a bunch of moms who are taking your courses, or is it a male community? Like, what is your audience, and how are they spending their time? And what do they enjoy doing? Like, if I look at my husband, he would probably watch a video course. Me, I need to print it so I can go sit and be with the actual paper and do the work. That's my favorite way. And it allows me to ask better questions. And that's another thing that's really important, is give your students opportunities to ask questions so they can learn. And
yes.
Huge. I mean, I have students who come on a call with their papers and saying, okay, this is where I had a question. And it's really hard to do that if they had a video, because it's just not as easy to do that. So that's another big thing to think about, is what do they enjoy doing and how can they ask good questions?
Exactly. And, Lindsay, I've spoken to so many, prospective clients and even clients of my own. And I think where I'm seeing the trends kind of going with what people want is they want connection and they want accountability, and the self-paced, like, kind of do it on your own, it's a great tool to have in your business as a revenue generator, but your clients want connection to you. And so the worksheets or downloadables give them time to apply what they've learned, but more importantly, it gives them time to come to you and get feedback, and you can see how they're doing as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I can gauge how well they're doing by the questions they ask. That's very important to me. So when you have clients who are just coming to you and they have an idea, can they come to you because they have an idea for a course and they don't know how to put it out there? Like, what is the majority of people you see coming to you that they need help with?
I see people in a few situations. One, they've maximized how many one-to-one clients they can take on, right? So their calendar's completely full. They have little to no time left. They're like, if I'm going to continue growing this, I've got to do something. I even see people who they've tried putting an online course together, but you've probably heard this. Like, I run into people and they say, you know what, Jessica, I started putting this together and it's been sitting on my computer for a year. So they get stuck in, the to-do lists, and with every good intention, the course just never comes together. And so they really need someone to just kind of sit down and hammer it out with them. And so those are generally the two types of clients that I bump into.
I hear about that all the time.
Yep.
And it's comfortable. I think that happens because people are so comfortable with creating content.
Yes.
And then when it comes to like, oh my gosh, pretty soon I got to put this out there. And then let me just rethink everything I did and let me go hide.
Yep. Well, and the other thing too, Lindsay, is I run into a lot of people that, they have the active income, like they have one-to-one clients. That's not a problem for them, but they don't have a gigantic email list, or they don't have a huge online following. And so they're wondering, how can I break out of one-to-one, but also still, leverage myself or scale my business? Like, what do I do? And so I've encouraged people, like, don't let the big lists or the technology get in the way. You could take your idea, whatever that course idea is, and run a small group beta. So at least you're still like, you're branching out of the one-to-one, you're shifting into the one-to-many, but you're not necessarily having to worry about a huge list or all of the tech that goes with passive online courses.
Yeah, and it's the best and really only sustainable way to scale your business. Working one-on-one with clients is great, but you can't always work one-on-one with clients. You can't scale that way because there's
No.
so many hours involved and so much energy. So even if you had all the hours in the day, you don't have all the energy in the world. It's not the best way to grow.
No.
So the best way to grow your online business, your coaching business, is to create a group program.
Yes.
Because then you can work with many, like you just said. It's completely different working with 10 students and going on one group call than working with 10 one-on-one clients. That's a huge difference in time. And time is so very, very precious.
It is. It really is. And I think I love how you just said that, the group size it's not like you have to sell your first group program to 70 people. Like you could start small and make that shift, because it is a shift when you start working with one-to-many. It's not the same as one-to-one. And so it allows you to get used to it. And it also helps you free up your time, but you're also still helping people.
Agreed. So when people decide, okay, I'm ready to create an online course, but I have no idea how to speak to my students, do you help them kind of frame the best way to communicate with them? Because as a teacher, you obviously have experience in that. I think the speaking part is what keeps people hidden. I mean, yeah, it's easy to give people a PDF and do videos or whatever,
Yep.
even audio in the privacy of your office. But when you have to go live with your group and teach them things and go on group calls, that makes a lot of people nervous. And
Yes.
how can you kind of talk them through that?
Well, I usually give them, a framework it's kind of like the lesson plan framework I used to use with my high school students. So I say, whenever you're about to get in front of a group of people and teach, you want to start by, start the lesson with the outcome. I always go back to outcome. So even if it's like a quick 30-minute tutorial that you're doing with them, start with, hey guys, I'm so excited that you're here today. We're going to focus on, concept A and concept B. And when you start with that way, Lindsay, you start with, this is what we're going to talk about today. This is what you're going to learn. You get buy-in. You get people like, okay, I see where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it's a combination of, teach them whatever relevant details or facts you have to in relation to that outcome, and include some stories in there. The stories are really important because that's going to allow your clients to see, okay, that's how this information applies to my life and my situation. So it's kind of like I give them like a 4-step framework to putting a teaching outline or lesson plan together. And that's the basis of it. Start with the outcome, include the relevant details and facts they need, and then include some stories in there to illustrate.
Perfect. So when they're coming up with their lesson plan for each of their modules in their program, and they're like, okay, stories, and that makes me feel like I have to come up with more content.
That is a really good point.
How can we break that down a little bit more?
Sure. So the stories I usually give my clients, a little formula. So when you think of a story, you want to think, who have I worked with? It could be current clients, past clients. This could be details from your own life. So you don't have to go out and read tons of books or go out and watch movies and pull stories from that. Like, use your own life and your own clients and your own work as the basis for your stories. And so the best examples I say to make it easy, because you're right, there is that element of like, oh my gosh, now I have to come up with more stuff. Use the clients that you're working with. How can those situations relate to what you're trying to teach? So show the students that you have a certain client's problem that they were experiencing. Talk about an action that you guys took together, and then point to the result.
Right? I love that. Yeah, I love it. And I kind of teach the same way, where I start with the transformation that we want to achieve, mm-hmm. and then we work backwards and lay it all out. And sometimes your transformation might be a little bit bigger than next week's transformation. Mm-hmm. So you just you don't have to stay like, this module has to have 4 different trainings. Like, they're all different. It's
mm-hmm.
it's whatever it takes for them to create their runway to hit their destination. They're all different. They're all different topics. So you don't have to be perfect, but the important thing is you go and just do it and teach it, and feel confident in what you're going to say.
Yeah, I think that it really should come from the heart, because that's what people are wanting, that level of connection, like I was saying to you. And I think when you come with an enthusiastic perspective and you're confident and you're excited, then that's just going to translate to your students as well. They're going to be confident and excited about working with you.
Definitely. And I always say, use your own story. There's no other way. There is just no other way you're going to connect with people if you try to rewrite somebody else's story and make it your own. You have to use your own. Like, yours is so powerful, no matter how boring you think it might be, or whatever you think whatever your story is, yours is powerful. And that's why the people paid to hear from you. They're going to pay to hear from you because they resonate with what you're saying, because you're telling your story.
Exactly.
We could probably find everything on Google for everything that we wanted, right? But they're resonating with you because of the way you're showing them, like, this is possible for you. I'm going to show you my way. And if they can connect with you because you're being your true self, then that's how you build up your body of students.
Absolutely. I think that people kind of like that door into your life. They see your story, like, you use your life as your inspiration and your teaching. That's where you pull stories from. So it could be, your actual story, like how you came to be this business owner, but also like kind of the silly example of like taking your dog for a walk and, something that happened. Like, people love those little details because they want to be reminded, like, oh, you're human too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of us think that our lives are boring and we shouldn't even talk about them or show pictures of them on social media, because who wants to see that? And we kind of have to get over that if we want to stand out. I mean, we can be behind this really pretty Instagram feed that looks perfect, and in real life, our kitchens are a disaster. Our kids are doing their thing, and it's important to show that stuff, because then you're going to get a student who's like, well, my kitchen kind of looks like that today, and my kids are at home from school too because it's a snow day. Just showing those little peeks into your life, that's what builds students who want to achieve results, because they connect with you and they basically want to make you proud. That's so huge. I see that so many times. When they connect with you, their future of their business is so much stronger because you build friendships. And like I said, they just want to make you proud, and because you showed who you are, and they connect with you that way.
Yeah, and not only, like, they definitely want to make you proud and connect with you, and that's how you build a relationship, right? It goes beyond them just purchasing the program or course from you. Like, when you have that level of connection, like, they want to continue the relationship with you. They want to continue working with you. Like, that's what matters.
Yeah, and we all have the courses that we've purchased or even have gotten for free with, something that comes along. Who knows? I mean, I see teachable courses that I've gotten for free and that I never even went in because I don't know the course creator. I haven't had any connection with them. I'm like, oh, I don't feel called to go in here and invest my time. But this one I do, because I can connect with the teacher very well, or the coach. And so I'm going to do this because I feel like I'm doing it with her.
Yes. I remember, Lindsay, this was one of those like pivotal moments before I became a teacher. I was student teaching at the time, and my advisor, the actual teacher, said to me, do you want to know a secret about why students will actually follow through and do the work and like listen to you and, not cause a scene in your classroom? And I spouted out all these, policies that you need to implement as a teacher and rules and regulations. And she's like, no, it's actually really simple. It's really whether they like you. Like, honestly, that's as simple as it gets. That's the key to students wanting to come to class, to wanting to do the work, and, in the end, not being a behavior problem. And when we think of our clients, it's the same idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Students, clients, you build that know, like, and trust factor. You already got them to know you. Now you keep working on that so they'll like you. And that's the game that we play. I want my students to like me, and I want my clients to like me. because they invested in me and I want to help them. And that's coming off as like a heart-centered teacher, a heart-centered coach, because you want to build more than just an income. You want to create connections with people, and that's that makes effective. That makes courses effective. You could have like the best course online, and it wouldn't be as effective if the teacher was completely absent from the process. And
totally.
That's something that we see a lot is you buy a course and there's no teacher anywhere, and they'll pop in a Facebook group once every month, and you're like, hey, where is everybody? Like, I just bought this and there's no support.
Right.
And I just don't feel right about that.
No, I don't either. And I don't think that's what consumers want or our clients want anymore is they want a teacher, they want a connection. And if there's really no instructor present or around, you're not really called or compelled to do the work, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I see. And sometimes it's tempting to, even when people are launching a course, they want to do things like scholarships. It just kind of flashed in my mind because we're talking about school. And they say like, I want to do a scholarship for my program. And I'm in my coaching group, one of the coaches said, okay, I have done scholarships, and let me tell you, the students who have had results and the students who haven't, it's the ones who won the course for free have done nothing with the course.
Oh, yes.
People who invested in you because they liked you, they have skin in the game, and those are the ones who see results.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I had a client that did a beta group, Lindsay, this past fall, and she scholarshiped a few people in, and they were the ones that never showed up, that didn't do the work, and so it left her discouraged because she felt like people weren't getting results. And I think there's that perception, like if I invite people in or if I give them this for free, like then they'll be more compelled to do it, but it's actually quite opposite.
Yeah, exactly. There's no exchange of energy whatsoever.
Nope.
And that's exactly what happens. Discounting your courses and giving free entries, it's tempting. I get it, especially when you're just starting and you just want to fill seats. I totally get it. It's not the way to go because you want results. Their results are yours. So you have to make sure that they have skin in the game. Like we said, they know you and they like you, they trust you, and they want to make you proud.
Yeah. And I think, I totally get that feeling where you're like, I just want to get people in this. I just want to get it off the ground. And, that's when you can kind of play around with the pricing and maybe do a beta price that's probably lower than what you would want to normally charge. But, once you get to the second and third round, that's when you can raise the prices to what it's truly valued at. Instead of just keeping the price at what you want it to be and then no one enrolling and then you trying to get people in for free.
Right. And it just all comes back to confidence.
Yep.
Confidence in yourself and confidence in the content and in lowering your price too. I guess I'm a stickler with that. Don't do it.
I'm sure. Yeah, I can imagine you are.
Don't do it. But do as you wish, whatever makes you happy. But I just don't want people to, I think I see so many people do it in desperation mode.
Yes.
And nothing comes good from going into desperation mode.
No. And Lindsay, I think, I advocate, if you're feeling like you want to play with the pricing because that's what's going to make you more confident, then go for it. But I think what you said was really important there. Like there needs to be some level of confidence. And I think a lot of people I talk to feel like their content, like, that's so obvious to me. Why wouldn't people do this? And I'm like, that's what makes you uniquely special here. Like what's easy for you is not easy for someone else. And I think when you can get in touch with that, you as the instructor will feel more confident. Like I can help people with this. What's easy for me is what I can spell out in, baby steps for them to do.
Exactly. I mean, everyone knows something. I mean, we could create 1 billion online courses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure people have their wheels turning while they're listening to this episode. Like, I know how to do this really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I could show somebody how to do this. Where do they even start? How can they get started if they really resonate with what you're saying and they, of course, they love you? How can they get started and just kind of feel their way around this world here, this course design world?
Well, I would first, I would get in touch with like, what is it that seems to kind of come easy for me? Like some people are like really, really great at social media, or they're really gifted with like marketing or Facebook ads or copywriting. Like, so what comes easy for me is the first thing I would figure out. And then from there, you want to then determine what is it that the market is needing? What is it that they want? Because for me, Lindsay, when I was first stepping out of teaching, like people really weren't interested in like the actual art of teaching. They weren't interested in like the theory behind putting a lesson plan together. No, they just wanted to figure out, how can I get this information out of my head and organize? Like that was really the bottom line. So you want to then figure out, how can I take this gift that I have, something that's really easy for me, and present it in such a way that my people would actually buy it. And so that's when you want to talk with either current clients that you have, past clients that you've had, or interview people who are sort of your ideal clients. It's kind of getting in their head and figuring out, what is the pain that you're having, and how can my gift, my unique talent, solve that pain or problem.
Awesome. And that might feel really overwhelming to somebody when they're just kind of exploring this world. And that's why we have people like you who can help. Tell us about what you do, and if people want to go check out your packages, what's their first step there?
So the first step would be, well, let me explain how I help my clients. So you're right. I think a lot of people get very overwhelmed when they want to take a step into putting a program or a course together, because there are a lot of parts to it. And so where I help my clients, Lindsay, is with that, like, what is the idea going to be? What does the market want? And then how can we shake that information out of your head and organize it? And so it's really collaborative. I sort of hold my client's hand through the entire process. And the best way to get in touch with me, I have a free gift that I would love to share with your listeners.
Yeah, definitely.
And that is a downloadable, like, this is the framework. This is the way I help my clients get their information out of their head. So it's an online course framework or outline. It's pretty comprehensive, but it like you said throughout, like, this can be overwhelming. So I tried to simplify the process, and this is how I help my clients go through that. So I'd love to share that with your listeners.
Definitely. And we'll put that in the show notes for sure.
Yeah. And I think, from there, I'm on Facebook. My first name is Jessica. My last name is pronounced Terzakis. I think you'll spell that out in the show notes, Lindsay, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then I'm also on Instagram as well, with same first name and same last name.
Awesome. I'm excited. I think this is going to be so helpful for our audience, because everyone I think has stars in their eyes when they think about the potential with group programs, because the potential is absolutely endless. And sometimes you just need somebody to help you take all these ideas that you have all over the place and put them together so you can create a substantial income for your business and for your family.
Yes. And that's the thing, is I just don't think entrepreneurs have to do it all on their own. There are lots of people that can help out. And so I love that that's sort of the thought that you're leaving them with.
Yeah, I do too. This is great. Thank you so much for being on, Jessica. It was so wonderful having you.
Thank you.
Want 10 ways for you to start booking your dream clients? I created this workbook for you because I wanted to share my best tips on how I book mine. You're not going to believe how easy these are, and I know you'll be able to take my tips and put them into action ASAP so you can start working with your dream clients. To grab the workbook for free, all you have to do is go to lindsaymaloney.com/podcast. Hey coaches, are you a member of the Book Your Dream Clients community yet? Because you should be. Just go to dreamclientcommunity.com to request free access. We do fun things like website audits, challenges, and we even have a book club. Join the free Dream Client community now, and we'll see you there. Thank you so much for listening to the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. If you want to find out more information how you can work with me, just head on over to my website, lindsaymaloney.com. You will be able to see how you can work with me privately or in a group setting. I'm all about helping you start and scale your coaching business, so I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes and leave a rating and review. And if you want bonus points, take a screenshot of a review and tag me on your Instagram story. I'd love to see it and share it with my audience. And plus, you don't want to miss another episode.